Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Sean. And hey, everyone, thanks for joining us today. I'm excited to be here and talk to you about the Maryland AT program. Sean hit the nail on the head with all of that introduction. I am an OT by training and education, and I have specialized with adaptive equipment and assistive technology so I can just better help our residents in Maryland. But as he did just mention, so our Maryland AT program does serve all Maryland residents, but DC has their own program that it's titled the DC Assistive Technology Program. So that's it has a website, atpdc.org, but I'll get into all that later. And then Virginia has one, PA has one. So every state in the US has their own, and districts as well. And there is 56 of us in total. So a couple states have two, and that also includes our territories and things. So anyway, I'm going to share my screen and just kind of dive in today and just share our services, our scope of practice, like what you might expect from our services. And if you did reach out to us and what that might look like, and just share more about like what we do here. So let me share my screen and I'm going to get rolling. All right, here we go. Let me just start this slide deck. All right. And let me just slide a few things around on my screen. Okay, so what do we do as the Assistive Technology Program for Maryland? So our whole shtick is that we provide statewide access to assistive technology, or AT. So I might say AT, and that just means I'm referring to assistive technology devices. So what we do is provide statewide access to AT through equipment demonstrations. So I might demonstrate what certain devices do and what they look like and how you might be able to utilize them. And then I do equipment loans, which I'll talk more about all of these as I go through this slide deck. But our loans it's kind of like a library for books, but we have a library full of AT devices. And I can actually loan those out as if you were just renting a book from a library. We can do the same thing here with our AT devices. And we also have a reuse arm that actually accepts donations from other individuals who might have AT and they no longer need it. And they can actually donate that to us and we can refurbish it, clean it up, and give that away to other people. But that's separate from our demo and loan program. It's actually a separate program, but all of us work together here. And then we also have a financing arm. So we also do, low interest financial loans. And that would be for the sole purpose of purchasing AT devices. And I'll get more into that as well. And we also do trainings. So I do a number of different webinars and presentations on different topics about AT. So that might look like adaptive dining and eating, and I might do a whole presentation on like what that might look like and all the different devices out there, or I might do one on blind low vision devices, and so forth. So our website is listed here at the bottom, and that is www.m as in Mary, so MD like Maryland, TAP.org. So MDTAP is our acronym. So if you ever hear anyone say MDTAP or Maryland TAP, that is referring to us here at the Assistive Technology Program. So our website's mdtap.org, O-R-G. And so also AT, it does encompass a wide variety of items. So that might be something low tech, like adaptive spoons or forks that don't have any wires or batteries or anything like that, or a cane or a wheelchair, but it could also be higher tech, like eye gaze technology, or a video magnifier, or different keyboards and mice and computer access, and anything in between as well. So AT is a wide variety of items. Even an elevator, is technically assistive technology because that helps people who might have physical and mobility limitations and impairments, helps them get to other floors of buildings. So that's technically AT. So a lot of people use assistive technology for convenience as well as necessity, but it's a wide variety of items, including home modifications. So that could be like installing grab bars in your bathroom and by your stairwells. So AT could be lots and lots of different things, and we'll keep, I'll keep this conversation rolling as we talk here. But the whole thing behind our program is to increase an individual who has a disability of some sort. It's just to help increase their independence and bridge that gap between ability and disability and being able to engage in their environment. So that's kind of what we do, is to help them be able to bridge those gaps and be able to have impairments, but that doesn't mean that they're not able to engage with certain activities of daily living or work tasks and so forth. So I'm a firm believer in if there's a will, there's a way, and AT devices can oftentimes help bridge those gaps. So here's a quick flow chart, and I'm going to try to talk through this just straightforward, so it's not super boring. So I'll try to kind of get through this and add a little excitement here. But basically, if somebody wants to reach our services, what does that look like? And it's super casual process. It could be someone going to our website, and we actually have a survey on there that you fill out. And then once you hit submit, it'll actually forward that to our inboxes and emails. And that survey will ask you, name, and then like reason for contacting us, and kind of like a brief description, like what are you looking for maybe, and that just gives us a better idea. So it might just be like, hey, I have a mother who is low vision and she wants to be able to read more efficiently. It could be just a simple sentence. And then I'll take that and I can, and then I will call you back, or a colleague of mine. It'll either be a phone call or an email. It's whichever you prefer. And then like that'll get the conversation rolling. So the only things for our program specifically, and this is Maryland I'm talking about here, I cannot speak to DC and Virginia and Pennsylvania, just because I haven't spoken with them in a little while. I do talk with everyone. All of us play nice. We all communicate with one another, but all of our services might be a little bit different. But for Maryland specifically, all you need to do in order to qualify for our program is be a Maryland resident, and B is either have a disability or have a family member who has a disability, or just work in the field of healthcare and a community living and all that as well. So I oftentimes work with, PTs and speech language pathologists and OTs, and even school teachers and so forth. So I work with lots of different professionals as well. So it doesn't have to just be an individual who has an impairment or disability. We work with all different kinds of people who might better be able to assist their patients and clients, as well as the people who have disabilities themselves. Either way, so it could be reaching out to us on our survey, or it could be calling or emailing me directly. So I am the AT clinician here at Maryland TAP, and that means that I handle most of our day-to-day operations regarding our clients and helping them get set up with consultations and device demonstrations and device loans and so forth. So a lot of that is through me, and I do help set those up, and I conduct those consults and I do those demonstrations and loans. It's not only me working here on the team, but all of us have our own duties, and I oftentimes am the one kind of arranging and performing these tasks. So it could be just calling me directly or emailing me or any of our colleagues as well. And I will provide contact information as well at the end of this PowerPoint. So everyone who is here will have my contact info. But either way, it's not this fancy application process. You could just call me or email me or do the survey and I'll get you started. And then a consultation might look like just, it's basically just a conversation that I would have with you. And it's super casual. It's just like, what is going on in your life right now that might be seen as difficult? And what is your impairment that's kind of starting this conversation first? And then it's like, and then I'll ask you kind of like, where are you struggling, or where would you like to be a little bit more efficient or a little more independent, or maybe you want to do something just a little bit differently. And then after that conversation, I might have a few ideas of assistive technology devices. And at that point in time, I can demonstrate them. I can show you, I have this, I also have this, I can show you a couple of different contrasting items. And then, so ideally I would have our clients come into our library. I'll sit down with you one-on-one and we'll have that conversation together here. And I can show you things on the spot. And if we decide to do a loan, I can send you home with it right then and there. But I do realize not everyone's able to travel. And also with COVID, we weren't, allowed to have people in just for the safety of everybody. So I can also do Zoom meetings as well, or even phone calls. It doesn't have to always be, a video chat, although it's usually helpful for me to demonstrate a device. It usually helps to have a video chat so I can kind of show you. But I also work with all kinds of different people, from anyone who might be blind, low vision, or deaf and hard of hearing. So I'm always willing to accommodate with captioning and ASL interpreters. And also, if somebody is blind, then I could just have a phone call with that person. It doesn't have to be a video chat, obviously. So anyway, after that, initial consultation, then I can do device demonstrations. I can talk to you about what's on the market and what we have here in our library. And if there's ever, any device that pops up as I would love to try that and see how that works for me, then I can loan that device out to you for up to 30 days. And that might not seem like an incredibly long time, but that does give our clients a chance to take that device home with them. It can, and also go to school or work or anywhere that you might be in your normal life. I can loan that out to you so that you can actually practice with that certain device, play with it, see if you really like it or not. And hopefully that would help inform a purchase of yours down the line. And maybe, a certain device loan, you really like that device, it's perfect for you. And that's our goal. But also sometimes you're like, I don't really like this that much. And that's also great information to have, because for every device that, doesn't work, then I can cross that off the list. And then we're that much closer to finding something that does suit your needs. And also, if I loan you out something and you're like, jury's still out on that one, that's totally fine. I can loan you out maybe something else next. And then we can kind of compare and contrast with each different device that you try. So with that being said, it's not just a one and done with us. I can loan multiple devices out to you, across however long we all want to work together. And then just kind of go from there. So it's a very, casual process. And our loans are for 30 days. If you need another week with it or something like that, I'm usually pretty flexible, unless there is someone who's asking for that device that you have already. Then I might need to be a little bit more strict in that 30 days because I want the next person to also have a chance to use it. So I do have a waiting list that I'll start for devices that have, multiple requests, and I'll put those in, order for who reached out first and so forth. And I'll talk more about these bottom three as we continue talking here, but I'll get off this page so you don't have to look at this flow chart anymore. So real quick on this slide, we do have a few different offices. So we have our main offices where I am right here today. This is our mothership, if you will. And this is in central Baltimore. But we do have other contracts and partnerships with a few of the centers for independent living. And we have one of those contracts is with Southern Maryland Center for Independent Living. We also have a contract with it's called Bay Area Center for Independent Living, and that is in Salisbury, Maryland. So we have one in Southern Maryland, one on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. We have the Bay Area SIL, and by SIL I mean Center for Independent Living, CIL. So that's oftentimes abbreviated as SIL. And then also Western Maryland, we also have a contract with that SIL, which is called Resources for Independence, RFI. So I just want to, bring that to light as, you don't have to travel all the way to Baltimore. We do have other satellite offices that do exist as well. Here's a screenshot of our website online, and that does have a virtual AT library. So it has photographs of the devices that we do have here. And that might not have every single device because we have thousands of devices here, but it has a great assortment and collection of a lot of what we have. So it definitely offers a good, a good insight into what you might expect to see from us. But I would still definitely reach out to me or someone else who works here and also inquire and be like, I didn't see this one on your list, but I was wondering if you had this, device or whatever it might be. Because we often, we do have a lot more than just on our website, but our website does have a lot on there. So I always tell our clients to check that out. Even if you're not sure what you want, you can always kind of just look around and just see what we have and be like, well, I might like to try that. and I can set you up. So also on our website, we do have a home modifications directory, and that is basically just a comprehensive, like basically resource document. And that helps walk people through the process of getting home modifications installed and what that might look like. So it has information on like tax information, also information on contractors, vendors, and so on and so forth, and kind of how you might go about even starting that process. For maybe someone needs to widen doorways or lower countertops or add grab bars or install, you know, a stair lift, you know, and so on and so forth. Home modifications could look like so many different things. It could be installing a ramp to get into and out of the house, the front door or the back door, and so on. So like we do have a home modifications directory that can help walk people through that process. And right below that, I do want to just highlight this really quick, is our loan closet directory. And this is our loan closet directory for, typically it has all different kinds of nonprofit organizations like Lions Clubs and Salvation Armies and so forth, for places that have durable medical equipment. So I do want to say is like something that we don't have here, that we don't really do a lot of work with, are things like DME or durable medical equipment. And that's things like walkers, wheelchairs, and mobility equipment. So things like rollators, wheelchairs, power wheelchairs, canes, anything like that that's mobility related, we don't do. And we also don't do a lot of loans with things like hygiene equipment. And that might be like a bedside commode, or, you know, a shower chair or a tub bench, or, you know, anything like that. It's just something that we don't really do, just for sanitation purposes and safety. But other places that they have high powered scrub hubs that are able to disinfect and bleach and clean these things. So a lot of these nonprofit organizations actually do a lot more work, durable medical equipment. And we have a directory of all of those and what you might expect to see from them. So it'll say like Lions Club, and like what they might have would be, okay, wheelchairs, walkers, and rollators. But that is typically dependent on what's donated. So you should always reach out to them and see what they have. And a lot of those will offer those for free of charge. Some might have a small fee, like $20. So it just depends on which one each person contacts. And then we also have archived webinars of past, you know, presentations and things like that as well. So we also have a video online that will actually walk you through our library. And this is my colleague, Denise Schuler. She's worked here for about 15 years and is an excellent resource for all things, you know, AT related, and also just disability in general. So I always implore people to, you know, if it's outside of my knowledge, then I often will lean on her. But also with other things like, you know, like job site, you know, evaluations and things like that. She works for NASA as a contractor and helps do essentially work site evaluations for their employees who do work there, and helps them get the right, you know, AT and computer access equipment and ergonomic equipment, so they're able to interact with their computers and job tasks and be able to work more efficiently and effectively through AT devices. So I do have a video here. I'm not going to show it right now for sake of time, but it's about 8 minutes long. And I can also send this, I can send this full slide deck out to Sean, and he can forward it to everyone else if you guys would like to have this to hold on to. But yeah, it's a great video, and it goes through our whole library and talks about different devices that you might expect to see. And that might look like, so up here on our top left is a video, video magnifier. And that's able to zoom in on like small text and, you know, documents, font. It could also zoom in on like prescription pill bottles, you know, anything at all. And just bring that text, you know, up, you know, and I'll make it larger. Also, it can change contrast. So if having black text on a white background, you know, you just can't see that, it doesn't stand out enough for you. I can also use this device to like invert that I can make it white text on a black background instead, or like yellow text on a black background, and so forth. So it's got a lot of options that it has a lot of options for color contrast that you're able to play with, and that's totally user preference. We also have things like speech devices or AAC devices, which stands for augmentative and alternative communication. So that might look like something like this is on an iPad that's got a speech generating app that's installed on it. But then we also have a lot of standalone just AAC devices that are high tech and some are lower tech. So we have all different kinds of shapes and sizes for like speech generation, as well as earlier with that video magnifier. We have lots of different video magnifying devices, some really large, some smaller and more portable, and some in between. So, we have lots of different options because it's always different strokes for different folks. And it's always good to have those options and to be able to see, well, I like this one, but I like that one even better. So that's kind of what we do here is that, is that trying these devices out through us, then I can say to myself, okay, I've tried 3 or 4 and I really like this one. And now I can move forward and go with that purchasing process because, like buying something that costs maybe $500 or $1,000. And then after you buy it, you don't love it, then I'm sure everyone here has bought something and after you buy it, you don't really use it. So like basically what we want to do here is to help our clients be able to know what works for them ahead of time. And then when they buy it, then it allows them to already know, okay, I love this device. I'll spend the money on it, even though it might be expensive. It's worth it to me because I've tried it and I've practiced and I know it works. So anyway, so that's kind of what we want to do here. But also someone, like could also use our services for different reasons. So it could be I already have this device, but it's getting repaired in the shop. And I would love to have another device to hold me over for a couple of weeks while it's getting fixed. So I can also send out devices for that reason too. So it's not always for someone trying to buy something. It could be used as a stopgap just to help someone still have, like that device that they rely on to still have something to hold them over while theirs is getting fixed. And I'll also loan devices to other therapists and teachers, so they're able to use it with their patients or clients or students in a more controlled setting. So, it might look like a few different reasons why someone might reach out to us is what I was getting at there. But anyway, so we also have things like adaptive spoons and forks and cutlery and like cups and plates and cutting boards and meal prep devices. So we have lots of stuff, in that regard. We also have a lot of computer access, like equipment and devices. So that might look like adaptive keyboards that are large print, high contrast keyboards, Bluetooth keyboards. We also have over here next to our keyboards, this is a head mount device. So, sorry, excuse me. So I can actually operate the mouse on this device and I can use the head mount access. And that basically means that I can use a reflective dot or sticker. I could put it on my glasses or my hat or even just on my forehead. And that reflective dot actually serves as the mouse. And then as I move my head around, up or down, side to side, then it'll actually get picked up by that camera. And then I can use that as my mouse. And so if I was, a quadriplegic, tetraplegic, or maybe I just have upper extremity weakness, or I've had amputations or anything like that, that might make it more difficult for me to, engage with a mouse and a keyboard and get on a computer, then I can use, a head mount device, or I could also use eye gaze control, which we have lots of devices that actually do eye gaze. So it'll track your pupil movements, which is pretty fancy and high tech sounding, but I can basically move my eyes to the, right or left, and it'll actually track that with the software. And I no longer need a mouse because my eyes are the mouse, and I can use that to, I can pull up an on-screen keyboard. I can open up applications and websites. I can write emails, all with my eyes. So we have lots of different devices for computer access, blind low vision devices. I also have OCR devices here that actually do text to speech. So it'll take a screenshot or it'll take a photo, a document or piece of paper, and then it can actually read that out loud to you. So it can do text to speech. It can take the text that's down on paper and then read that out loud to you. And we also have things like adaptive gaming equipment, like down here on the bottom left. This is an Xbox controller, but it's adaptive. So I can add switch access and accessibility switches. We also have smart home equipment like Amazon Alexa and things like that that can actually help you turn on and off light fixtures. It can also help you, like control your thermometer and temperature in your house. It can turn on and off appliances, fans, and so on and so forth. So I would say we do have, all that kind of stuff here as well, and more. So I would love to have the chance to talk with anyone who would like to hear more about what we do offer here, because there's lots and lots and lots, and I could talk for probably 2 hours straight, and still I might not get through it all. And also I was mentioning earlier that we do have iPads and tablets that have apps also downloaded on them. So maybe if somebody was interested in trying out a speech generating device on an iPad, as opposed to buying a standalone one, then I could show someone a few options for that as well. So anyway, that's basically what we do. I'm gonna see, how am I doing on time here? We're almost to 30 minutes. So I'm gonna kind of fly through the last few slides here, and then I'm gonna open it up to questions. So I just wanna briefly talk about a few other programs and just other resources that we also are a part of. And one of those is right here. It's the Online Equipment Exchange. And that is basically for consumer to consumer connections. So that might be, so basically what that looks like is that we are started this so that people can connect with one another and basically be like, I have a stair lift that I no longer need, and I would love to get rid of it to someone who needs a stair lift. And people can say, hey, I need one. I would love to take that off your hands. And it'll help connect people. So it could be totally free of charge, or someone could also be like, hey, I have a stair lift. I bought it for $5,000. I want to sell it for, $1,500. So it doesn't have to be free, but it's a way to, like kind of see if anyone was willing to purchase or, buy things from, one another. But it's also, I could post on there and say, hey, I need a stair lift. Does anyone have one? So it's not just for, the person that has the device. It could be for someone that needs a device who also wants to post on there. So this is a equipment exchange website that's through Facebook. So it's hosted as a Facebook yard sale page. And we do moderate this, but it's not up to us who lists what and what price. It's just each individual has their own autonomy for what they might like to post and how much they might like to ask for it. And I mentioned earlier that we do have a reuse program that accepts donations, and then it cleans those up and also refurbishes those donations and gives them away to other people. So what I do here in our library, all these devices are bought brand new, and then I'm able to loan those out. But at this program, this is all donation based. So it might be some older equipment, things that have been used for years and years, and then we clean them up and then give those out to other people who need them. So we do operate slightly differently, but it still has a lot of different, high-tech equipment that is able to be given away to people for much longer periods of time. So as I'm kind of held to 30 days here, all these devices can be given out to someone for as long as they need it, which is really, really great. So if there's a video magnifier that someone donated to this program, I could give that out to someone for 5 years, 10 years, however long that person needs it. It does have the expectation that it would come back one day, but it's as long as you need it. And they have things like, which I was just mentioning, video magnifiers and CCTVs, but they also have, iPads and iDevices and adaptive computer equipment, speech devices, and so on. So they also have a link right here, which is to their online inventory. And they are located in Columbia, Maryland, is where they are located. But Denise Schuler, who I was mentioning earlier, she actually runs this pretty much, by herself. She works with us here at TAP, but she also works at this, reuse center. So if you call them, the chances are you're probably going to speak with Denise. And really quick, I want to talk about our assistive technology financial loan program that I mentioned earlier. And this is a financial loan program that it is able to loan money to individuals for the sole purpose of buying assistive technology devices. So it could be anywhere from $500 all the way to $50,000. And that could be used to buy, it has to be used to buy AT, but it could be things like adaptive driving vehicles or home modifications and so on and so forth. So it does have interest attached to it because it is a loan, and that interest is usually between 3 and 4%. And Tanya Goodman is the director of this program, and I can supply her contact info, but also right here is our website for the ATLP is the acronym, which is the Assistive Technology Loan Program. But either way, what can I buy with a financial loan from the ATLP? And like I said, it could be home mods, it could be, adaptive driving vehicles. It could also be scooters, wheelchairs, power wheelchairs, braille equipment, also visual aids, and so on and so forth. So it really anything that constitutes assistive technology, which, as we kind of said earlier, it's a lot of different things. So it is a big array of what you might be able to buy with that loan. So it's very vast what the possibilities are. But I did want to talk about that really quick. And we do have partnerships with certain programs and resources who work primarily just to bring the cost of things down. So right here is the AT Discount Sales and Services. And Amanda Chung is the director of this program, and she actually started this from the ground up. So oftentimes, as somebody does want to buy something, which I should mention, I don't sell any devices here personally. That's not what we do, but I can definitely work with you and help you with that process of buying something. But I don't sell anything here, which is actually a good thing because I'm not tied to any device. So if you want to buy something that costs $5 or something that costs $5,000, it does not matter to me. I have no incentive. I just want you to get the device that works the best for you, and the price. So if there is a budget, then I can work with you in that budget and I can show you devices that fit that budget. But I have no incentive to push one device over a different device. But I can work with you with that process of making purchases. And really quick, we also have a sister program or organization who does all things with telecommunications. So if you're looking for a phone system for your house or work and so forth, I don't do anything with phones because the MAT program, and that's M-A-T, MAT, and that's the Maryland Accessible Telecommunications Program. So they already cover everything that involves phone systems. So I leave that to the experts. So if you need a phone system for your house or what have you, I would apply to the MATS program and they can do a full evaluation and assessment. And they actually can give you that phone system once it's deemed like which one is your best fit. Then it's actually, it's actually given to you free of charge. So I often, tell my clients to apply to the MATS program because as long as you qualify, and I'm not sure how that all works, totally, but as soon as you qualify, then that phone system will be given to you for free. So, and there's things for, people that are deaf and hard of hearing and captioning telephones and people with vision loss and, and just all different kinds of disabilities that they have different phone systems that can work better for, certain people. So I would definitely reach out to them. And then we also have a portable ramp project, and I'm getting low on time here. So just ask me about our portable ramp project if you're interested in that. But we do have partnerships with a lot of these SILs in the state of Maryland who have ramps. So maybe if someone had surgery or they just acquired a new, disability and they need a ramp like ASAP, then there are some available. And we also have, a IT accessibility for websites, web pages. And we have a couple of guys who work with us who are extremely tech savvy, and they can actually, help, anyone who's building a website or web page, is able to make that accessible to blind, low vision, or deaf, hard of hearing, or any other disability, and make those pictures and videos and so on and so forth, make that accessible to screen readers, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to stop jabbing my mouth. And it's also contact information here at the end, and I can post that in the chat as well. But I would love to open this up to questions. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And also I will start just typing in contact information into the chat so everyone can have that, in copy and paste or write it down and so forth. So anyway, I'll stop talking now, and I would love to answer any questions if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, James. Appreciate it.
Sure.
So for anyone who has questions, you can unmute yourself. There's a button at the bottom left. Alternatively, you can do Alt+A button. If you're on the phone, it's *6.
And I just type my phone number and my personal email into the chat, and that phone number will contact me directly at my office. So that is my direct office line and my email right there. So if anyone ever wanted to come into our library, or if you want to talk to me just a little bit more in depth, and I can answer your questions one-on-one. I can also schedule consultations and things like that. So please reach out if you have any questions.
One question I have is, what kind of inventory do you all have at the loan program? We frequently get asked about CCTVs and video magnifiers, since they're a little bit on the pricier range.
Sure.
About just borrowing it because maybe someone is in their later stages and they know they're not going to have it for maybe only a year or two, and they don't want to buy a brand new one. So we get questions like that frequently. So what kind of stock do you have typically?
Yeah, like here at the MDTAP loan library, or at the other one that does the reuse. Because us here, our loans are for 30 days.
The reuse.
But at our reuse site, absolutely. So it just kind of depends, because it's all based on donations, but I would say that there's always a few CCTVs that are just waiting to go. I know we have, at least 3 to 5 CCTVs just waiting to go to someone. And as far as video magnifiers like Rubies and things like that, it's hard to say, because as they come in, they're also going out. But I'd say that there is, I'm sure right now is probably a handful of them, anywhere between 5 and 10 that are probably just sitting there waiting for someone to contact Denise and set that up. Yeah, but also she does have an online inventory. I can post that link in the chat, and it's not always 100% updated, but as things go out, she does her best to kind of cross those off the list so that people don't see them online and try to grab them when they're already gone. So I can post that link in the chat as well, so people can have that also just to look at. So 1 second, I'll find that and I'll post that link really quick.
Okay, and what's the price range for something let's say for a CCTV?
Yes, it would depend obviously which company and vendor that you go with, but a well-known company like Eschenbach, a CCTV from them, it might be anywhere from $1,500 to $3 or $4 grand, just depending on size and all of that. But I can say, I was mentioning earlier that I can sometimes get discounts on certain devices through those vendors. And Eschenbach specifically, I just helped him buy a new CCTV, and I was able to get $600 knocked off that as a discount for him. And that does depend on which device it is, because they're not all always giving out major discounts on everything. But on the certain device that he was looking for, we were able to knock $600 off. So I would say, yeah, it just depends. I'd say average price of a CCTV, I would say average price probably $1,500, $2,000, but you can get nicer ones that cost $3,000, $4,000, and also smaller video magnifiers that that might be portable. Some of those might be $500, so it may even be under $1,000 for the smaller ones. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Janet, I see your hand right, or you unmuted yourself. You there, Janet?
Hi. Yes. Oh, can you hear me? Good.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I saw you at the beginning, you talked about a video magnifier. And
Sure.
about what size are these?
Yeah, great question. So we have, anything that might be 5 inches and like really small, all the way to like 20 inches and the larger for our like CCTVs. So it just depends. I can kind of, I am sitting kind of right next to all these right now. So, I have something like this Ruby, it's, I think this one's 5, 6 inches, maybe it's 7. I can't quite remember, but that's pretty small. It's on the smaller side. And then I might have something that's right here. That this is our ZoomX Snow 12. So this one's even just a little bit bigger, and then I have some that are kind of in the middle of those two. Over here is an Eschenbach device. I have other ones that might be handheld, like this guy right here, also kind of small. And then we also have our CCTVs, which are these like larger units. And we also have a few of these over here. So we probably have 20 different, I'd say probably around 20 or so different blind low vision magnifying devices of all different sizes and shapes.
And they do the contrast as well to change the color?
Yes, all of these here, all the ones we have, they all have contrast options. Some have more options than others, but all of them can do at the very least, like white and black, or switch that black and white. They can all do that. Some can do, green, blue, yellow, red. They have all these options, and that's all user preference. So it's just like, it just depends what stands out more to you. But yes, I would say in short, they can all do some level of contrast adjustment.
What's the price range for them?
On the video magnifiers and CCTVs?
No, I mean the small, like the Ruby or something that size.
A Ruby, I think you can get those around, like $500. I believe it's something like that. And
Is that what they start at? Is that what those devices start at, the video magnifiers?
Is that what they start at? I'm sorry.
Is that, is that about 500, about what you expect to pay? Is that what?
I'd say that's, yeah, I would say that's what I would expect to pay for a smaller one, just like a Ruby would be like maybe around $500, $600. And then as you get larger and larger, I would probably expect to pay more like $1,500, $2,000 for the like larger ones. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, no problem. And I can definitely talk to you, more in depth if you would like to, and I can give you like quotes and things like that on like specific devices as well. And I did post in the chat over here was the link to the AT reuse site, and that's going to have information on what is available for the reutilization items. So actually, I'll post this one more time so that if anyone's looking for long-term loans, then I just posted 2 links right there, and that has a list of what you might expect to see that is available for long-term loan, and that's through our reuse site. I just wanted to post that for everyone. And our address, I just posted our address in the chat, but again, we are in Baltimore, Maryland, but I can meet with anyone, kind of like how we're doing right now, on Zoom or phone calls as well. So you don't have to come all the way here, but just want to put that address there.
Yeah. And for those of you who may not be able to access, may have trouble accessing the chat box, James's phone number is 410-554-9276. And his email is his name. So it's James, period, Whitney, WHITNEY, the number 1 at maryland.gov.